Dee Wallace, thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
I like fishies.
Thank you. We like to swim upstream.
Oh, well, that's the only way to go.
Right. Well, first, I just wanted to say that I am a huge fan. I actually had the pleasure of meeting you a couple years ago at Pittsburgh Steel City Con, and it was an awesome experience, and I'm just thrilled to now have you on my show.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I really like doing the conventions for that very reason. I get to meet and interact with, people who appreciate my work, and I hear great stories. And I swear to God, after 45 years, I still see product that I've never seen before. So
Awesome. Well, I actually am going to be covering a couple conventions coming up. One of them is actually this weekend. I'll be covering the Living Dead weekend here in Pittsburgh, dedicated to George Romero's movies. And the following month, I'll be covering a smaller convention. It's an independent horror film convention called Gross Fest, and it's a great opportunity for independent horror filmmakers to get their work out there and trying to get new audiences. And I'll be there covering it and trying to do as many interviews as I can.
Sundays are always slower days for us, usually. So if you go around and, maybe set it up ahead of time, you might have some more luck.
Right. The first question I wanted to ask you is, what got you interested in film?
I was born. I've just always been creative. I came out that way. I thought I was going to be a dancer. I was a professional dancer for a while. Did some solo work with a couple of ballet companies in the Midwest, but I was a very big fish in a very little pond. And I really wasn't going to go much further than that. So I turned my sights toward the next thing I loved, which was acting. I majored in theater and education at the University of Kansas and taught a year of high school and said, if I don't get out of here now, I ain't ever going to get out of here. So I left to find my fame and fortune. But I had been acting in Kansas City since I was a very little girl.
Awesome. What kind of guided you to, I guess, becoming a scream queen versus, well, you've had a huge, extensive career. What kind of got you into doing like the horror genre?
I didn't go looking for it. It found me. And then, of course, E.T. fell into the science fiction kind of corner of that. But I got to tell you, I love doing emotional work. I love really doing heart emotional stuff. And there's really no other genre that opens all those possibilities up for you as well as the horror genre does. So it rocks my boat.
Awesome. Do you have any favorite horror movies in general, not necessarily that you've worked on, but just that are some of your favorites?
Yeah, I love The Exorcist. I love all the work and the camera work. I just think it's an incredible film and a frightening film. I love a film called Don't Look Now with Julie Christie and Donald Sutherland. And I think it's such a mastery, that film, because you hardly see anything. These days we think we have to see guts being spilled and heads being blown off and all that. And if you watch this film, it's all done with insinuation and suggestion and great camera work and editing. But it's really, for me, quite frightening. So those are two horror films that I'm really big fans of. I love The Quiet Place, too. Oh, my God, I just thought the work in that was just brilliant.
Yeah, I really like that one a lot, too. That was one of my favorite horror movies to come out in a long time. I like monster movies a lot. The idea of, a creature coming to get you and eat you and stalk you always kind of fascinated me. And I was I was born in the late 80s, and I have to say that I'm like in love with practical effects. So anytime I get to see like a monster on screen and it's actually a guy like in a suit, and with prosthetics and all that, it always gives me like, a good feeling when I see a movie like that because
You're a sicko, dude.
I know,
Well,
I know. I like to joke that I get my sense of humor from Stephen King, which not a lot of people get. But I actually went to school for screenwriting here in Pittsburgh at Point Park University, and I love to write horror movies and especially
great.
the monster movies. And
Well, the new Critters movie that I just did that'll be on Sci-Fi in October. We used all the original puppets. It's all tree. We did. I think there's maybe a couple of shots of CGI, but nothing with the real puppets. And because we knew the fans didn't want that. People have asked me on occasion if I considered doing Cujo again. And I said, no, absolutely not, because they'd want to do it all with CGI. It wouldn't be the same film at all. And besides, I think my fans would kill me if I ever did that again.
I wouldn't come after you, but I can see their point.
Yeah, I can see it too.
I definitely have to agree with you. I mean, I actually heard that they were trying to remake Cujo, but it wasn't going to be anything like the book. They were trying to make it like a B grade monster movie. It was going to be like a military experiment sort of deal.
Yeah, I heard that too. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, that can either go one of two ways. It's either going to be done right and it'll be cool to see something like that done, or it's going to be horribly wrong. And it's just one of those things.
I had heard, and this could be incorrect, I could have wrong information, but I heard that Stephen King told them that they could not use the title Cujo.
Okay. Interesting.
And I'm also coming out in Rob Zombie's Halloween. Rob Zombie's 3 from Hell.
Yes. I wanted to talk about actually both the Critters and the 3 from Hell. I just saw the teaser trailer for it, and I'm very excited.
Did you see me in it?
It was so quick that I kind of didn't see too much.
Yeah.
It was like
you won't recognize me anyway.
Okay. I'm very excited to see you in it, though. Can you give us any like details on what to expect without giving away like too much?
Well, I can tell you, anybody that's a fan of Rob's is definitely not going to be disappointed in this film. It's the old classic Rob Zombie style of Devil's Rejects. It's a continuation of that. And I can tell you that I walked right in front of Sid Haig and Bill Moseley, and they didn't even know who the hell I was.
Oh my God.
which was a lot of fun. So, it's Rob Zombie. It's raw, it's brutal, it's innovative, it's creative, it's everything Rob brings to it. And, I just love working for the dude. I love him as a person. I love him as a director. And I hope he keeps having me in his films.
Awesome. I wanted to actually dig a little back into your filmography here and talk about another really awesome horror director, one of my favorites that, unfortunately passed away, which was Wes Craven. And I wanted to talk about what was your experience working with Wes on The Hills Have Eyes.
I remember Wes as being very quiet, kind of studious. He was a college professor at one time in his life. Very kind, very patient. And it's a good thing that we had somebody like that on that film. It was a hard shoot. We were in the desert, and all of us were staying in one trailer. The bathroom broke. It was a challenging shoot. But I just remember Wes being he was a quiet guidance is the best way that I can describe him.
Awesome. His films, are just a huge inspiration on my own style of writing, and I'm sure countless others. And I was a little like, not depressed, but I was definitely a little upset when I heard that he passed. I mean, because it felt kind of like a part of my childhood was gone at that point. And because it's like you grow up seeing these guys' movies on the screen, and you don't think that it's like they're that old, but in actuality, it's like they've been doing this for a long time. And when Wes passed, I was definitely, a little upset. And I definitely binge watched a bunch of my favorite films of his. And just to hear people who have worked with him and to hear what he was like is really, really cool.
Yeah, he was a kind man, very kind man.
Awesome. On the topic of monster movies, like we were talking about, another film I wanted to talk about of yours was The Howling.
Okay. Want me to just talk about The Howling?
Well, what was it like working with Joe Dante and Rob Bottin with the effects, and like what all like went into the shoot, and I guess with the prosthetics and all that?
It was right at the cusp when people were starting to use CGI, and we tried a couple of things with CGI, and it just looked squirrely. I think The Howling is the film it is because it's okay. All the cartoons and references and the old films, he was asked that those should be in. We actually paid for the rights himself because we didn't have the budget for it. Rob, and this is a professional, he was on set every minute. One scene, the generator went out. It was the middle of the night. We had to get the shot because I think it was the last night we had on that location. And so all of us pulled our cars up and turned our headlights on. And that's how we got this eerie shot outside of the barn. And it's magical, But that's the kind of shoot it was. It was like, let's put on a show, right? And Joe was just incredibly creative and always fun to work with. He's funny, but he's also just such an amazing creative director. And all the guys, the old iconic actors that came on board, that was all Joe's idea. And a salute to all of the old original horror films, werewolf films. All the references and a lot of the names in the movies were researched from other movies and reused. And, that was all Joe. So I tip my hat off big time. Joe is still a friend. Unfortunately, we don't work together as much as I would like to anymore, but boy, I have great respect for Mr. Dante.
That's awesome. I'm such a huge fan of his as well, and the transformation. I mean, like werewolf movies have always been a favorite of mine, also just because of the monster aspect. But I guess the definitive werewolf transformation always goes back to American Werewolf in London. But I still say you would not have American Werewolf in London without the Howling. And
yeah, and they had over, I think it was 12 million, and we did the Howling for 1.3, I think.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's just I love seeing like the whole transformation, and I don't see enough of that anymore because they've either switched it to CG or and to be perfectly honest, I have not seen like a really good werewolf movie or a really good like vampire movie in a long time. And that's what I would really like to see is like, a resurgence of movies in the vein of like The Howling or American Werewolf in London.
Well, maybe Critters will be the start of that, hopefully.
I hope so. I really hope so, because Critters is another film I wanted to talk about, and I've seen them all. I don't have Shudder yet, so I haven't seen the series yet. The Critters movies are just so fun and wacky, and I definitely want to hear about like your experience on both the original and this new one.
Well, both experiences were fun, very different because I was at very different places in my career. But I had an absolutely great time shooting this last one. I'm the only one left in the family, and I'm out to get the suckers that have taken my family from me. So it was a very different, even though she's supposed to be the same character, the name is different because they had some kind of legal problems with the name. And she's not, this little housewife anymore. She's come into, a very powerful bounty hunter who's out to get these guys. So from the point of view of playing the character, it was very different. From the point of view of having a great time with great people and a lot of fun, both of them are very similar. I was thrilled I got to go to Cape Town, South Africa to shoot this last one. It's one of my favorite places on earth. The other one we did somewhere out in some valley somewhere in LA. So Cape Town it was a hell of a trip to get there, but a beautiful place to end up.
Awesome. When can we expect the Critters movie to premiere?
I think it's October on Sci-Fi. And Bobby Miller, I just really loved working with him. He was fun. He had some great ideas, really well prepared. So I really, really enjoyed working with him. I hope I get to work with him again. And just a nice dude. So Sci-Fi, I just heard from Rob, and 3 from Hell will be out in September. So it's a big fall for me. I also have another sci-fi / film called Await the Dawn that I just finished, and a beautiful little family film called Renovation of the Heart. But I don't know the release dates for either one of those last two. One thing I really would like you to post, please, is my daughter, Gabrielle Stone, who anybody in the horror world knows her. She's done quite a few horror films already. She has an amazing book coming out on June 27th on Amazon called E.T FML. Basically, it's all about her divorce, getting dumped from a lover. After that, her trip through Europe and getting herself back and her power back. It's a great millennial book, and it's a great read, and I would love all my fans to support me by supporting her and going on Amazon on the 27th. E.T FML is the name of it.
Awesome. I will definitely check it out. And in fact, I would love to have her come on the show as well. And, I'd love to talk to her about it and promote it more in any way I can.
Oh, I would love for you to do that. I will do her.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love that.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
okay.
I'm always trying to promote the arts and other filmmakers and writers and just people in the entertainment industry with their projects and stuff. So I would love to do that.
I love that you do that because, I think we've kind of lost that community helping each other vibe a lot. And I think it's imperative that creative people come together and really support each other in all ways so that we can keep the frequency of creativity alive out there in any way we can.
I definitely agree. And that's why I love interviewing the people that I get to interview and talk to them about what their interests are, not just their work, but who they are as a person, and besides all that stuff, because when it comes down to it, people are people. And being an actor is just a job, but it's a great job, and it comes with a lot of cool and interesting stories along the way. But there's so many different aspects of the entertainment industry that definitely I'm a fan of, and I feel it's my job to kind of go out and network with as many people as possible, because you never know if those people will help you down the road, and it's definitely a mutual beneficiary thing. And I love to interview people and just help them out and promote their stuff and get to talk to them and find out what makes them tick. But I would definitely love to interview your daughter and help her out and promote her project in any way I can, because I happen to have some stuff published on Amazon now as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
What do you have on there?
Well, I actually have won two screenplay competitions, and I have a screenplay published on Amazon as an ebook based on Ambrose Bierce's The Stranger, with the same title.
Oh,
and
how cool. I will check that out.
Thank you. And it should be up in the next week or two, but I just won another competition, and I have a zombie comedy that's going to be published on Amazon as well as an ebook.
Well, good for you, dude. That's awesome. Congratulations.
I did want to talk about one film in particular that you were in, and it happens to be, I think, it is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, and it's definitely probably my favorite horror movie with you in it, and that is The Frighteners.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Cujo. Yeah, I loved doing The Frighteners. I loved working with Peter Jackson. I loved killing everybody. I had so much fun. Playing this departure of what I usually do. And again, it's such an awesome opportunity for an actress, because she starts out as this simpy little victim and turns into this ball-buster killer. So again, you get to play that plethora of different emotions in that big arc, and that I love to do. So I had a ball. And of course, we were in New Zealand, and can you not have a fabulous time in New Zealand?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that movie, I have the director's cut on Blu-ray, and I'm shocked at how much they cut from that movie.
Yeah. Well, you can say that about every movie that's ever been made.
Right. But, seeing the director's cut, and I've kind of heard that Peter Jackson has an even longer cut of that. It's like a 3.5 or 4 hour cut or something, which I would still love to see.
Well, I think you can say that that's kind of the process, baby. I know our first cut of 10 I did with Blake Edwards was over 4 hours.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Frighteners, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Let's talk about E.T. and what was it like working with Steven Spielberg and just the whole cast in general.
Well, the whole cast was primarily the kids, and I love working with kids. Kids don't have an agenda, and they don't have a lot of ideas. They're just really there in the moment with you. Steven was a wonderful director with the children. He really knows how to work with kids. And there is an art to getting the best performance out of a kid. They need to trust you. You need to know how to keep it new, for them, so it doesn't get old and stale. And he just was brilliant at working with him that way. And fortunately, also, I like to have things thrown at me in the moment and not know what my other actors are going to do. So it's all fresh and alive. I love to work that way. A lot of adult actors don't. So we just had a real connection, the three kids and I. And of course, it was lovely to work with Peter Coyote too, but I didn't have very much with Peter. I would like to have had more. Peter's a really lovely, beautiful man. But, asking me how it is to work with Steven Spielberg is asking what's it like to work with a genius, you know? He knew exactly what he wanted, and he gave us a lot of leeway to bring in our own ideas also.
That's awesome. As anybody who has seen my logo, I am obviously a huge Steven Spielberg fan.
Uh-huh.
You know, the Jaws thing is definitely, you know, I thought Jaws was one of the I think it is probably the scariest movie ever made, just for the factor of like what it did to sharks after that, and the mindset that it put into, you know, the audience of sharks after that. You know, Steven Spielberg is just, you know, such an amazing and talented director. He has such a huge and wide range that he's been able to kind of go back and forth from like the blockbuster to, you know, the drama to the war film to science fiction. And now I just read that he's working on like another new horror series that I'm like so happy and ecstatic to hear, because the Steven Spielberg that I kind of liked the most was when he was going on like the supernatural kind of, you know, fantasy sci-fi route. And I'd like to see him definitely get back to more of that stuff.
Well, I think Steven just loves to do it all. He gets bored. You know, really creative people get bored doing the same thing over and over again. We want to keep testing ourselves.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So
definitely.
Well, good. I hadn't heard that about his sci-fi horror. Is it for TV?
Yeah, it's going to be like an after midnight horror series.
Huh,
I just saw it on Facebook. He was going to have in talks with like a new show. I don't necessarily know too much about what it's about or what it's going to be. I think it's still kind of like in the works, but I just saw that it was announced and that he's going to be writing and I think directing it as well.
Well, that would surprise me if he's going to direct it for TV. That would really surprise me. Huh. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I have one closer question for you, and that is just, in general, what are some of your favorite films?
Oh, my goodness. You know, I really tend toward the feel-good films. I like A Dog's Journey. You know, all the films about the dog's journeys where they come back. I love all those films. I love the classics, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird and a lot of the 40s and 50s films. And I love relationship films that really focus on the difficulty and the challenges in relationships and how we have to work within ourselves to understand ourselves in order to maneuver through relationships. So I really like watching those kind of films.
Awesome. Well, Dee, it has been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me. I would love...
You are so welcome, darling.
I would...
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all your success, too. That's great.
Thank you. I would love to, you know, maybe send you a script or something just to hear what your thoughts are, you know, just to get feedback or something.
Well, I'm happy to do that. You just have to give me about 3 months to do it, because I have a pile of stuff now that I have to get through. I'm happy to do that for you. You just have to be patient.
Oh, sure thing. I totally understand. That's actually the best answer that I could have gotten. So I actually wanted to tell you that I wrote a script kind of with you in mind for it. And
really?
I did. And it actually made it as a quarterfinalist in a screenwriting competition, but it didn't win. But it's like an anthology horror film, and I had a role that I kind of wrote with you in mind for one of the segments. And I would love to send it to you and just to hear what your thoughts are and to hear what you think.
Sure. Just give me some time. I'll get back to
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Dee,
I will send you Gabrielle's info, okay?
awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, darling. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.